Thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Under strange and unexplainable circumstances. Most cases remain unsolved. What happened? Where did they go? Locations unknown.
Thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joe Erato, and with me, as always, is a guy who moved out of his parents' house, tossed the keys to his dad, and said, "Now you're the man of the house," Mike Van de Bogert.
That's pretty good. Thank you, everyone. We're back. Feels good. Joe is finally with us again.
It's only been like 2 weeks, right?
I know.
But it feels like a month.
Feels like a long time.
It does. I love this.
We are back, and just want to thank all of our loyal listeners for tuning in once again to Locations Unknown. A couple of announcements here. So, new Patreon shout-outs. So, we got Ellie Mae, Vanessa Gillum, Hannah Lauder, Leah Northrup, Matt Roses, Joelle Akins, Annie...
Did you say it right?
Yes.
Joelle,
and Annie Shemek Pepper. Sorry if I got that wrong. And Kathy Cook. So thank you so much for supporting the show.
It's Schmeck Pepper.
Schmeck Pepper. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said it so wrong. Schmeck Pepper.
That's all right.
Sorry, Annie. But yeah, your support means a lot to us. We are constantly trying to improve our gear, our studio. Unfortunately,
our personalities.
Those take a lot more effort. Unfortunately, our studio space that we're currently in, we're being booted from because they're renovating the entire building.
They're fixing it all up.
So we will be in a new space here starting in May.
Literally right next door.
Yeah, right next door.
Right next door and up a level.
But if you didn't hear in the last episode we are going to be throwing a big final hurrah live stream episode. I believe, what do we say, April 23rd?
Yes, I think that's the date.
So
I hope it is because we just said it was.
I think it is. It's a Wednesday. So just checking the calendar now. Make sure. Yeah, April 23rd. It's going to be a multi-hour live stream. We'll post more details soon.
Andy is joining us.
Andy is joining us.
Although his wife's pregnant, so if he doesn't, there's going to be a good reason. But he blocked it out, he said.
We're hoping to have Evan Stone back on and maybe a special guest related to him.
And we didn't even ask Evan yet. So, Evan, if you're hearing this, we'd love to have you on.
We'd love to have you on. I think he'll come on.
Yeah, I hope so.
And we've got a lot of other fun things planned for the live stream. So make sure to mark that down in your calendars and tune in on April 23rd. We're going to open up our phones so you can actually call the show live and talk.
Yeah, we tested it. It works.
It works. We're going to have a live Patreon or supporter only live stream where we'll interact with them. We'll let everyone watch, but to actually interact, you'll have to join Patreon or one of the YouTube members or Apple subscriptions or any of those. So, and if you want to call or text the show, you can call 208-391-6913. We also have a lot of other cool podcasts on our network.
Oh, and we're going to pool up text messages and voicemails for that.
Yes.
For that live cast. So, send them all in, man. And just keep them flowing.
I'm going to get an AMA started on Reddit that you can start posting questions to. We'll answer everything that's posted, unless it's something really outrageous or heinous. That we might not. But most questions will be answered. Like I said, check out some of the other cool podcasts we have on our show: Peanut Butter and Mountain Podcast, Off the Trails, The Weirdos We Know, Who Runs This Park, and Crime Off the Grid. And we've got more that will be joining soon, so stay tuned for that. Any updates from you, Joe?
Nope. All right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore locations unknown. August 30th, 2019. An experienced hiker was trekking along the steep and treacherous Z Trail on the Big Island of Hawaii. When he never returned, thick jungles, towering cliffs, and sudden downpours complicated massive search efforts. Yet no clues ever emerged. Was it a tragic fall or something far more unsettling? Join us this week as we investigate one of Hawaii's most baffling, unsolved missing persons cases: the disappearance of Kyle Brittain. Mike, we're going to reference you a lot on this one because you actually hiked in Hawaii. I've never been there. I'm disappointed.
I've hiked Kauai and on the Big Island. We did one of the volcanoes on the Big Island.
Yes, so I'm excited to hear about all those stories because I love hearing those. But we are being brought to the Waipio Valley. It's a remote valley on the northeast coast of Hawaiʻi Island, the Big Island, in the state of Hawaii. In the Hawaiian language, Waipio means curved water, a name reflecting the meandering river that flows through the valley. Often called the Valley of the Kings, the sacred valley was once the center of Hawaiian political and religious life. So this is not a designated park, so we don't have any type of establishment date. But before recent access restrictions, Waipio's Valley's Lookout would sometimes see 200 plus hikers per day and almost 450 vehicles, all sharing a steep one-lane road, creating significant crowding. However, public access into the valley floor is currently restricted. In February 2022, Hawaii County closed the only road into Waipio Valley to visitors, non-residents, due to hazardous conditions, steep grade, and unstable slopes. Tourists now cannot drive or hike into the valley on their own. The only way to enter is via authorized guided tours with four-wheel drive transport, while casual visitors can still enjoy the scenery from lookouts above. These measures aim to protect both visitors and the culturally sensitive valley environment. So a little bit about the habitation history. The Waipio Valley has a rich habitation of profound cultural importance to Hawaii. It was once densely populated by native Hawaiians. Estimates suggest around 2,000 to 2,500 people lived here in pre-contact times. Many early Hawaiian alahis, this is the chiefs and royalty, had their seat here, and the valley was the childhood home of King Kamehameha. I think that's how many is Kamehameha. I added one extra one in there. An ancient grass palace and sacred temples stood in Waipio, and Hawaiian legends place major deities like Lano and Kane in the valley. Because of the lineage, Waipio earned the nickname Valley of Kings. The population of the valley declined through the 19th and 20th century. Immigrant families, Chinese, Japanese, Portuguese, and Filipinos, farmed taro and other crops here in the early 1900s. A devastating tsunami in 1946 struck Waipio Valley, destroying homes and the taro fields. After this disaster, most residents never returned, and the valley's community became much smaller. Today, fewer than 100 residents live in the Waipio Valley, off the grid and continuing traditions like taro farming and fishing. Despite its sparse population now, the valley's historic sites, taro patches, and legendary landscape make it an enduring symbol of Hawaiian heritage. So here are some interesting facts about the area. Hawaii is the most isolated inhabited place in the world, located about 2,400 miles from mainland United States. Hawaii has its own time zone, Hawaii Standard Time. Hawaii doesn't observe daylight savings time. Lucky. Hawaii is home to the world's most active volcano, the can you say this is the one you hiked?
No, this is the one you
which
see on the news where it goes into the ocean.
Oh, and it's always forming new land?
Yeah, and the funny thing is when we were there, it was like one of the few times it wasn't erupting. Because we drove there to see it, and it
just turned off.
It was off.
It like heard you coming. Like,
yeah.
It's a gangster from the 30s.
Yeah.
Mike's coming. The Mauna Kea is Hawaii's tallest mountain, rising over 33,000 feet from the ocean floor.
So we hiked.
That's the tallest mountain in the world, right? Technically, because it's if you're counting from the ocean floor up.
Maybe. I don't know.
Or is that the one?
Denali.
Oh, that's from the ocean floor. There's one, I think, off of Hawaii that's the tallest mountain, but not above sea level.
So we hiked the sister peak. So
Okay.
it was like 1,000 feet shorter
Okay.
in its peak, but still was cool. There was snow on the top. It was like being on Mars.
That's
It was
awesome.
wild.
So Hawaii has 2 official languages, English and Hawaiian. I bet you would have guessed that one. Hawaii has no billboards. Oh, that must be wonderful.
Yeah, right.
Did you notice that when you were there?
No. No, I didn't even notice it. I mean, it's just such a beautiful place. Like,
Okay.
it's just so green, and everywhere you go, you can see the ocean pretty much. And
That's amazing.
yeah,
Yep, I got it. Everyone says it's wonderful. I
Kauai,
got to go.
the only island we didn't go to was Maui, and my favorite of all the islands was Kauai. It was much more laid back and less populated and built up, and just a really cool place.
All right, I'm going. You've convinced me.
We can go hike there.
Yes, I want to. Hawaii has no native land snakes. Hawaii is the only U.S. state made entirely of islands. And gambling in Hawaii is illegal. So I hope you didn't make any bets.
No, I did not.
Liar. A little about the climate in there. The Waipio Valley enjoys a tropical climate with warm temperatures year-round and abundant rainfall. At sea level, the valley floor, average daytime highs are around 85 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer and 78 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter, with nighttime temperatures roughly 10 degrees cooler.
Tough climate.
It's just like literally perfect all the time.
It's beautiful.
There are basically 2 seasons, a warmer, drier summer and a slightly cooler, wetter winter. I would almost say a slightly cooler, wetter summer.
Yeah.
Like 78 degrees is summer temperatures.
It's been the high here in the last couple days has been like below 0. So
Well, with the wind chill the other day, it was like negative 20.
yeah,
It's just stupid. Like, why do we live here?
I say
What's
I
wrong
ask
with
that
us?
every day.
You just get your briefcase and
Yeah.
Dilbert your way to work. Just why do I live here? And the kids are crying in the background.
Yeah.
You're like, please make the podcast work. There are basically 2 seasons. Oh, I just read that one. The valley lies on the windward or northeast side of the island, so it receives ample rain from the trade winds. The surrounding Hamakua coasts get nearly 84 inches of rainfall annually, and much of this falls in the Waipios, keeping the valley lush and green. Heavy rains are more common in the winter months, especially November through March. Visitors can expect frequent rain showers and mist in the valley, contributing to its waterfalls and streams. Overall, Waipio's valley climate is that of a humid tropical rainforest, warm, wet, and green year-round, with the heaviest rainfalls in the winter and relatively drier, sunnier periods in the summer. So just literally the most perfect place.
It
ever
really is,
to be. Waipio is an amphitheater-shaped valley, famed for its dramatic terrain. The valley is about 1 mile wide at the coast and stretches 5 miles inland, surrounded on 3 sides by towering cliffs up to 2,000 feet high. The valley floor opens to the ocean on its north side, where the black sand beach lines the shore at the valley's mouth. Still more perfection than you even thought.
I know.
This black sand beach, formed by volcanic sand, meets the rough waters of the Pacific and is popular with surfers, though often unsafe for casual swimming. The elevation drop from the surrounding plateau to the valley floor is enormous, nearly 2,000 feet down to sea level. A single steep road, the Waipio Valleys, descends this grade in just 0.6 to 0.7 miles. The road drops about 800 feet with an average grade of negative 25%.
I think it's just 25%,
and sections as steep as 40 to 45% incline.
That's wild.
That is wild.
That's puckering incline.
This paved 1-lane road is the steepest road in the world and is restricted to 4-wheel drive vehicles only due to the grade and hairpin turns. I don't even know if I'd want, like, unless I was driving, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to go, and I wouldn't want to drive.
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't go.
Yeah. That's a wild road.
Along the valley walls are numerous waterfalls, and the most famous Hilawa Falls cascades from the back of the valley at over 1,300 feet high. These waterfalls feed in the Waipio's river, which winds through the valley's flat floor and empties into the ocean at the beach. The river's path and occasional flooding contribute to the valley's name, curved water. So, to make it more majestic, we're going to talk about some of the animals you might encounter. Wild horses.
Yes.
Because if it wasn't fake enough, you're just going to have a bunch of beautiful horses running around in the midst of the waterfall.
I know.
Waipio's Valley on the Big Island is the only wild horse herd in Hawaii. The horses are descendants of the Hawaiian ponies and are known for being easy-tempered. Oh, so they're lovely to be around on top of it all.
I know.
All right, a little less majestic, wild pigs, goats, rats, mongooses, or would it be mongoose? Frogs, toads, and numerous birds. So there's an extremely steep road. We talked about that,
So,
the
yeah,
trail.
some of the dangers if you hike this
Some of
area.
the dangers, obviously the steep road with up to 40% grade, making both the hike down and back up very strenuous. Rock falls and landslides. Now, Mike, you'll have to tell us a little bit about this, because that was probably the biggest concern for you guys with hiking, right?
Yeah, we hiked in Kauai. We hiked into the Kalaʻau Valley on the north side of the island, and there was steep cliffs that kind of came up onto by the beach and kind of the camping area, and there were a lot of goats up there that would kick rocks down. And the state of Hawaii actually every couple of years shuts the whole area down, and they go out there and do goat hunts, basically, where guys with high power rifles will go down onto the beach and shoot some of the goats because
there's just too many.
There's too many, and they've injured hikers in the past with falling rocks. And a lot of times, like one of the mornings we were walking on the beach and there was a dead goat on the beach because they fall off the cliffs themselves sometimes.
Jeez.
So it gets pretty dangerous, but the state is pretty good about, making sure the herd isn't too big. But yeah, it's definitely a thing you worry about a little bit. So you just don't want to camp too close to the cliff.
Die in the middle of the night because a rock hits you from a goat 2,000 feet up.
Yeah.
There's also a very strong ocean surf and current. So the black sand beach at Waipio meets an open ocean that often has powerful waves and rip currents.
So they have signs like on our hike in anywhere. There were a lot of beaches along the way, and they have signs up that literally say like, if you go swimming, you'll die.
Like it's just not possible to live.
The rip, and we did do some swimming, but
of course you did.
It's the way the currents from the Pacific hit at least on Kauai, the terrain as it goes under the water creates like the perfect scenario for really strong rip currents. And you could be the strongest swimmer in the world if you get caught in a rip current. If you don't know how to,
you're going where it goes.
If you don't know how to act, like the first thing you do is not panic and tire yourself out. You kind of just want to.
You go to stops.
You just kind of want to start floating. And I'm not going to get into all of it because I'm not up to the exact methods you want to do. But the worst thing you can do is try to swim back in if you start getting pulled away because you're going to get tired out really quick.
Yeah.
But it's a major danger when you're out there. So
yeah, don't do that.
Follow the signs.
Yeah, there are no lifeguards or protected swimming areas. So high surf can appear even on seemingly calm days, and rip currents can pull swimmers out to sea. The coast here regularly has dangerous shore break and is known for unexpectedly large waves. Never turn your back to the ocean is critical advice. Rogue waves can knock people down or carry them off rocks.
And here's just a couple tips if you get caught in a rip current. I wanted to just look this up. So obviously,
don't leave them floating.
Yeah, stay calm. Signal for help. Swim parallel to the shore. So swim sideways across the rip current until you're free. And once you're out of the current, swim at an angle away from the current towards the shore. So the key is
don't fight it.
If you're in the middle of the current, don't fight it. And obviously signal for help, and then try to get out once you're out of the current, get back to shore. But the best advice is to just, if you see signs for it, don't go in the water.
Yeah. They even say just unless you're very experienced with Hawaii surf conditions, just don't.
Yeah, you just let it carry you until it slows down.
Or just don't go in.
Yeah.
Just stay away.
Yeah.
Mud, slippery terrain, and isolation. The valley's trails can be very muddy and slippery, particularly after rain, leading to twisted ankles or falls. Some sections have thick vegetation and uneven ground. Additionally, Waipio Valley is remote. There are no facilities, no cell service in many spots, and very few residents. So just some tips for hiking safely. Obey the access rules. So you always want to check the current access regulations before you go. As of 2022, the road in Waipio is closed to unauthorized vehicles. So we said that before. You kind of have to hire a guide to even go down in there. And you're only using the appropriate vehicles, as we said before. And don't trust GPS. This is the one time they say do not trust GPS. So you're just going to get a guide if you're going to go. Be physically prepared. The hike out of the Waipio Valley is short but extremely steep. An 800-foot climb in a half mile will test your legs and your lungs. Assess your fitness, honestly, especially when you're at sea level.
That would be the wildest incline I've ever hiked if I had to do that. That's 800 feet and a half mile.
I don't understand that. It's like a wall.
You're almost climbing.
Yeah. Like you're going to be on your all fours for a lot of it.
It's like the most narrow switchback ever.
If you're having knee problems, I feel bad for you, son. No, heart conditions. If you have knee problems, heart conditions, or aren't used to steep hikes, it may be wise to enjoy the view from the top or go with a tour that drives you.
Well, you have to.
Yeah. Start early and watch the weather. Be respectful. Leave no trace. Do not hike alone. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about Kyle.
Yeah, so our case today, his name was Kyle Brittain. Date of birth, we estimate it's between 1991 and 1992. He went missing on August 30th of 2019. Remains have not been found. He was a male, age 27. His height was 5'11". His weight was 145 pounds. He had brown hair, brown eyes. We have no reliable information on what kind of clothing was in, but he could have been in suitable hiking gear for a day hike in Hawaii, but we just don't know. Personality-wise, Kyle was known for his positivity, enthusiasm, and helpful nature, as described by friends in news reports. He was an experienced hiker since childhood with a history of hikes in notable locations such as the Grand Canyon. So everything I read, he's been hiking for a long time. He's hiked a lot of cool parks. So, pretty experienced. And, occupation, he was a photographer. It was kind of a hobby job. Hiking and photography were really what he was into, with a particular fondness for exploring Hawaii's trails, including the challenging Z Trail in the Waipio Valley, which he hiked before, which was noted in social media posts. His photography talent was recognized by friends who missed his beautiful photos, indicating his skill and passion for capturing nature's beauty. So, experience in this location, we're not sure that he was familiar with this specific location, but he had hiked the Nepali coast, which is the area where we hiked on Kauai, in addition to other spots in Hawaii. And the Nepali coast has some pretty gnarly hiking. So, it would be a good way to prepare yourself. So we'll jump right into timeline. So timeline for his disappearance obviously starts on August 30th of 2019 in the early morning. So this is when Kyle set out for his solo hike in the Hawaiʻi Island, in the Waipio Valley. Around 5 a.m., he spoke with his mother, telling her of his plans and assuring her he would finish the hike before dusk. He had planned to hike the steep Z Trail. It's a zigzagging trail from the Waipio Valley towards the Waimeno Valley, a hike, like I said, he had not done before. Around approximately 6 to 6:30 a.m., another hiker reported seeing Kyle near the bathroom at the Waipio Valley Lookout. So this is around daybreak. Kyle had asked for directions to the restroom and reportedly cheerfully said, "Have a good day." This would actually be the last confirmed sighting of him. So, like I said, it was daybreak, 6:30. He then headed down into the valley alone, despite the area being very busy. So it was Labor Day weekend. So a lot of other hikers and campers. No one else reported seeing him later that day. So by that evening, his family started getting concerned when he failed to check back in, because like we said, he had called his mom in the morning and said he would be back by, dinner time. So Kyle's father, Steve, returned from a trip that night to find his son missing. It was around this time that police were notified, and they discovered Steve's truck, which Kyle had been driving, still parked at the Waipio Valley Lookout parking area, basically confirming Kyle had entered the trail but had not come back out. So immediate attempts to locate Kyle via his cell phone signal were unsuccessful that day as well. And finally, towards the end of the day, Kyle was officially reported missing to Hawaii County authorities on August 30th, and a missing person investigation was opened. So the next day, August 31st of 2019, is kind of when the initial SAR operation started. So at first light on Saturday, official search and rescue operations began in the valley. Hawaii County Fire Department crews launched an extensive search, deploying a rescue helicopter to survey from above and ground teams to scour the valley floor and steep trail areas. They brought in search dogs to try to track any scent of Kyle along the trails, but were unsuccessful. And despite thorough coverage of the main trail and accessible areas on the valley walls, no trace of Kyle, not even clothing or gear, was found on the first day. So, and for those of you that'll be eventually watching this on YouTube, Joe is going through some of the pictures from the search and rescue operation, and you can get a sense of how dense the jungle is down in the valley. There's grasslands too, so like it's not all, but I mean there's a really dense shot. So
and then how muddy it is too.
Yeah, pretty dense area to search. But you gotta think. Well, we'll get into theories. I always do this. I want to start talking about theories
just
now.
keep going. Keep going.
You're
You're doing good.
You're doing all right.
You're doing all right.
So it is now the time period of September 1st to September 3rd of 2019. So over the next several days, official search teams continued to comb the difficult terrain. They focused on the Muliwai Trail, which is the Z Trail, route towards Waimino Valley and surrounding ravines, operating under challenging conditions. So thick jungle, sheer cliffs, waterfalls. So we went through location profile. We're talking about how beautiful it was and everything, but when you're a search and rescue team trying to search for a missing person, it sounds like a beautiful terrain, but from an operation standpoint, it's a difficult location to search for people. It's tough to get in there.
It's big and thick.
And thankfully the weather for the most part was good for the search for a lot of it. But yeah, tough environment. I mean, it is surprising that it was so busy. No one else saw him that day. But so by September 3rd, searchers had rappelled down cliffs along the valley edges, checking ledges and water pools where he might have fallen or become trapped. Steve, Kyle's father, praised the county rescue team, saying, "These guys are risking their lives for my son. It's phenomenal." So despite these intensive efforts, no signs of Kyle were discovered. After multiple days with no results, authorities made the difficult decision to suspend the official search. So in Hawaii, their kind of administrative rule for searches is if no evidence is discovered in the first 5 days, they start scaling it back, which makes sense. Resources
look at how thick this is.
Yeah, it's about, that's incredibly thick terrain.
You really can't tell he's on a trail. I mean, you can kinda.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
tough.
It's wild.
So the case remained open as a missing person investigation, but further on the ground searching would now rely on Kyle's family and volunteers. So while the official search was scaled back, Kyle's family and community volunteers took charge of the rescue efforts. So Steve, a longtime Big Island resident, immediately appealed for public help to continue the search for his son. He reached out to experienced search and rescue volunteers, including Chris Berquist, who had helped lead the successful search for missing Maui hiker Amanda Eller earlier in May 2019. So Berquist arrived on September 3rd and began coordinating a community-led operation out of the Waipio Valley. So by September 4th, volunteer search teams were organized to go out several times a day. Berquist and teams set up base camp and sent out groups at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and noon to systematically cover different sectors of the valley and trail. They also utilized GPS tracking devices with each team to map which areas they've been covered, and this ensured thorough coverage and avoided duplicating searches. Search parties with the stamina for long treks were dispatched on 6 to 8 hour missions deep into the valley and up the Z Trail towards Waipio. So by September 5th, Steve was publicly calling for more volunteers, especially skilled hikers, to join the effort, knowing that official resources have been pulled back. It was really impressive, the community support this search received. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's
pretty wild.
That's one of the many waterfalls in the valley. Amazing. So the community response was incredibly strong. Lots of people, including experienced hikers and even off-duty first responders, showed up to help in the following days. So we're now into the time frame of September 6th to September 8th of 2019. So going into the first weekend after Kyle's disappearance, the volunteer search effort intensified. So we had dozens of community members from the Big Island and even other islands joined in. By September 7th, 8th, which was the weekend, over 100 volunteers had assisted in searching the valleys and ridges for Kyle. So pretty massive search and rescue operation going on. So another quote from Steve. He said, the community, the police, fire, everybody are incredible. We have so much gratitude for everybody. So this is, I would say, one of the cases where it's really great seeing the family. In some of the cases, we have a lot of family members kind of get frustrated with law enforcement. It seems like in this case, everyone is trying everything they can. And searchers always do on every case, but
yeah,
understandably, sometimes the families get frustrated that not enough is being done, but I don't get the sense that is the case here. So, also during this period, the search teams expanded into even more rugged areas off the main trail. Experienced rappellers climbed down into remote gorges and along waterfalls, while drone operators flew cameras over densely forested sections that were hard to reach on foot. Now, this part's impressive. So helicopters, funded in part by a family-organized GoFundMe, continued to do aerial sweeps and additional scent tracking with dogs, including a canine team flown in from Kauai. Volunteers from Maui who had been involved in the previous search missions also came to help look for Kyle. So, I mean, they're bringing out everything for this search. And, despite...
I wonder how the searches with the scent dogs would go, because remember we had, what's his name on? He was telling us how those work.
Yeah.
With it raining so much there.
Yeah. It'd be tough.
It'd be really tough. It'd be washing the scent away like constantly.
Yeah. But, it's worth bringing them out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's just, I'm sure, like, it said, kind of like we said in the beginning, like torrential rainfall, just like everything was thrown against it.
Yeah.
It just stinks.
Yeah. So obviously, despite this increasing manpower and advanced search tactics, they even had thermal imaging equipment. At times, no physical evidence of Kyle's whereabouts were found. Search organizers and Kyle's family remained determined, combing through social media intelligence for tips and checking every possible destination or side trail Kyle might have taken. So it's now 9/11/2019. So by the second week of the search, one of the first potential clues emerged from Kyle's cell phone data. So on September 11th, which would be day 12 since his disappearance, the Search Tech Advisory Team, known as STAT, led by Chris Bergquist, announced that they had finally obtained and mapped Kyle's last cell phone signal in the area. So unfortunately, there's only one cell tower covering that remote area, and data showed Kyle's phone had a last ping hit from that tower on August 30th, indicating his last known location was along the trail in the valley, consistent with him heading into the area. So with this information, search leaders refocused their efforts. So that, they were quoted, "We're getting back to the facts, back to the data," Bergquist said. "The data put his last location on the trail, so we are sending all of our resources to start working out from that location." So in other words, teams concentrated on the areas radiating out from where the phone was last had reception, scouring creek beds, ridge lines, and other hard-to-reach spots nearby. Morale among the roughly 20 Corps volunteers on the site remained hopeful with this new lead, but searchers still found no trace of Kyle at that time. So it's now September 18th of 2019. So as mid-September passed, the search entered its third week with Kyle still missing. By September 17th and 18th, which would be approximately day 18 and 19 of the search, family and volunteers were still actively searching both the valley and neighboring Waimio Valley, but no evidence was discovered, which is crazy. Steve continued to organize daily search parties, putting out calls for advanced hikers with specialized skills such as ultra-fit trail runners. Those guys are crazy. So when we were hiking into the Kalalau Valley, you have to do this wild hike that kind of meanders along the cliff edge, and it'll go from like 300 feet to 1,200 feet and up and down like that. And there were guys like running that,
Just tearing through it.
like you'd have to get up against the cliff because these guys are running and some of them are barefoot, like just running the trail. And I mean, so those are the ultra fit trail runners they were trying to recruit, because those guys are crazy.
They'll just go anywhere and fast.
Yeah. So they were looking for strong off-trail bushwhackers and expert climbers to join the effort. On September 17th, a team of rope specialists attempted to descend into yet more remote ravines and waterfalls, hoping to reach areas that hadn't been checked before. Steve himself took to the air on September 16th for a helicopter survey of the vast search area. He was quoted, "It's absolutely daunting," he said, after seeing the terrain from above. "I don't know how volunteers are able to traverse this area, but they are. I can't express enough gratitude for what these folks are doing." So, again, it's amazing to see the gratitude for searchers. Just like that caller from the voicemail episode was saying, how it's just amazing people will risk their lives to try and find someone else who's gone missing. They don't have to do anything.
Because overall, people are good, I
know.
think.
None of these people have to do this.
Yeah, they want to. They want to be helpful.
And a lot of times
awesome.
searchers get hurt, and, sadly, sometimes they die, in a search. So we can't thank, those people enough.
Absolutely.
So by this point, nearly every possible...
What did Mr. Rogers say? Always look for the helpers.
Yes, Mr. Rogers. So by this point, nearly every possible area where an injured or lost hiker might have been covered, had been covered, from high ridge lines to riverbed thickets, but nothing definitive was found. The lack of any clues, no clothing, gear, or tracks, left Steve, Kyle's father, and the search teams perplexed and worried. Steve was quoted, "Nobody actually has seen Kyle since the morning going down into the valley, and nobody has seen him since, so everybody's baffled." This was on a Facebook post that Steve had wrote. Nevertheless, Kyle's family vowed to continue looking for as long as they could, refusing to give up hope. So now our timeline shifts to late September to October of 2019. So as weeks passed with no sign of Kyle, active ground search operations gradually wound down toward the end of September. Although organized daily searches diminished, the Hawaii Police Department maintained the case as an active missing person investigation. Detectives followed up with numerous tips from the community, but again, nothing led to a breakthrough in the case. So it's now... sorry, I'm going back in time a little bit. So September 23rd of 2019, the Hawaii Police issued a public update renewing their request for information on Kyle's whereabouts. They reiterated the basic facts. Kyle was last seen the morning of August 30th near the Waipio lookout, about to hike into the valley, and he has not been heard from since. At that time, police confirmed that extensive air and land searches had been conducted with the help of family, friends, and volunteers, but the case remained unsolved. By October 18th of 2019, roughly 6 weeks after he vanished, Kyle was still missing. The police put out another update to keep the case in the public eye. Notably, they confirmed that Kyle's vehicle had been found on August 30th at the trailhead parking lot, and that investigators were continuing to pursue leads and tips from the community. Despite exhaustive search efforts and investigations, At this time, this is a quote now, the case remains classified as a missing persons investigation, the Hawaiʻi Island police stated. Authorities urged anyone who might have seen or spoken to Kyle in the area or who had any information at all to contact police. Kyle's family also continued to spread the word via social media and community flyers, hoping for any shred of information that could explain the disappearance. So, in the time after 2019, so since his disappearance, no definitive evidence has ever been recovered to indicate what happened to him on August 30th. His disappearance remains an open case and is still listed as a missing person investigation. Kyle's family has kept the story alive, maintaining a Find Kyle Brittain presence on social media and appealing to hikers or anyone who might encounter clues in the valley area. Law enforcement likewise encourages the public to come forward with any new information. Despite the passage of time, the investigation remains active in the sense that any new tip will be pursued. However, as of now, Kyle Brittain's fate on that hike into the valley on August 30th remains a mystery. So this case stands as one of Hawaii's unsolved missing persons mysteries. But, you know, everyone's still hoping for closure on this case. But it is really a baffling case in my eyes. And we can get into, I can get into some of the main theories, and then we can debate what you think happened. So the obvious theory number one on my list that I think most people feel happened was accidental injury or death. So Kyle may have suffered an accident such as falling from a cliff, slipping on loose soil, or getting injured in a way that prevented him from seeking help. The Z Trail is known for steep switchbacks, cliffs, dense jungle, posing significant risks even to experienced hikers. And I can personally I haven't done the Z Trail, but the trail we did into the Kalalau Valley, there was a section called I think it's a 7 mile stretch where you're talking 7 inches of width for your hiking space, and you've got a cliff wall on your left side, and you've got 1,000-foot drop into ocean surf on your right side. And I had hiking poles with me, and I wasn't paying attention, and I took a step, and my right foot actually slipped and fell over the side of the trail. And I was able to catch myself with my hiking stick, or I would have probably gone right over, because I had my backpack on, which was probably 40 pounds, and that wanted to go with my foot off the trail. So I could easily see how someone could fall off one of those cliffs hiking, especially like hiking in areas like that. You need to remain constantly focused on where your feet are. Mm-hmm. And if you, for 1 second, kind of take your eyes off the trail, you could slip and fall. So I think accidental injury or death is a very likely, possibility. And, the evidence of this is the Z Trail climbs 1,200 feet to a ridge before descending into the valley, with hazards including gorgeous waterfalls, muddy conditions during rain, extensive searches, including rappelling down cliffs and using thermal imaging, found no evidence, suggesting he might be in an unsearchable area such as a ravine or under dense foliage.
Like, look at that. Here's the start of the trail. You have to go up here, and you're up and down, up and down, up and down to the Waimanu Valley.
Yeah.
Tons of risk.
Yeah, that looks like, look up.
I'll drop into some of these people's photospheres here. Well, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The waterfalls and stuff, but yeah, look at that.
Yeah, you really got to, and some of the stream crossings, when we were hiking into the valley, like 3 months before.
I'm not showing my screen. Yeah. I did it again. Now I am.
Like 3 months before we hiked into the valley, a lady she tried crossing because the streams swell up during rainfall and are hazardous to cross. And she tried crossing it, and she got swept away into the ocean and sadly died.
Yeah, so there you go. Like, you're starting here, going up here.
Yeah.
Each one of these are waterfalls and streams. Each of these gulches, and then you got to come down on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the opportunity for error.
Yeah, that looks very similar to like the trail we hiked, where You're going up and down elevation. You're crossing streams. It's, really amazing hike, but you got to be very careful when you're hiking it. So the likelihood of this scenario is, I would say, very high, given the terrain's dangers and the lack of any signs, which aligns with the possibility of him being hard to reach location. Another theory that is pretty high on my list is, getting lost in the valley. So Kyle could have become lost, perhaps due to poor visibility, weather changes, or deviating from the trail and was unable to find his way back. He might still be alive, but unable to be located due to the area's inaccessibility. So, in the sense, he could have been alive for a time period after his disappearance. But the fact that he's an experienced hiker, and once you're in the valley, there's one way out to the ocean, right? It's like if you're lost in the valley, if you're an experienced hiker, you got to be thinking to yourself, all right, I mean, you either go up to get out, or you go to the ocean. Like, go to is that the valley?
Yeah, this is the Waipio Valley.
So, like, zoom out a little.
That was the campsite.
So, like, if you got lost down in there, I mean, you could theoretically figure your way, you get to the beach, right?
I guess, but not if you're up here.
No, not if you're up there.
If you're in the valley, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can do it from the ocean view here.
Where's the Waipio Valley?
This is
this is
the other one.
That's the other one.
Yeah, Waipio Valley's over there. Hold on.
Excuse me.
But either way, either valley. So is that it?
Yeah, this is the Waipio Valley. It's much bigger. There's like roads and stuff. This one's like more populated here. I was hoping there was a shot off the ocean, but there's not.
But either way, I feel like I think this is a decent theory, but
oh, this is pretty. That's like a drone shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's like buildings and stuff because they're farming. So like, I feel like it'd be harder to get lost in here.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about just being lost,
more likely.
look at the Z trail.
Yeah.
You zigzag all the way up there. Yeah, if you're in the valley, I feel like it's going to be much easier. It's definitely, to me, occurring across that plateau to the Waipio Valley. Or I'm saying that wrong. Waipio. Like, if anything happened, like you said, an accident, I feel like it would have had to happen here.
Yeah.
Because you could fall and be lost in brush, or potentially fall off into the ocean and be swept away.
Yeah. I don't think he would have gotten lost in the Waipio Valley. I think it would have been either on the hike in between valleys or once he got into the other valley. But again, he was an experienced hiker. If he got into that valley, I don't see how you could get lost for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Because you would just...
It's not like you can climb up the walls. And it looks like, oh, that's beautiful. Look at this.
I know. It's amazing.
It's like, it's dense, but look at everything funnels.
Yeah.
And the streams are not crazy. So if they're not swollen, you can just go down these rocks and get your way out.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, getting lost is a theory. I guess I said it was high on my list. Now I've kind of talked myself out of that. Voluntary disappearance, that was a theory that people talked about. So basically, Kyle might have chosen to disappear for personal reasons, such as starting a new life. This is unlikely given his close family ties, as evidenced by his father's active involvement and emotional pleas. Another theory was foul play. Criminal activity such as assault or kidnapping is possible, but unsupported by evidence, especially given it was Labor Day weekend with a lot of people in the area. Medical event, he might have suffered a sudden medical issue like a heart attack leading to collapse. However, there was no known medical history suggesting this.
He was a young kid.
And he was described as, fit and healthy.
Yeah.
This was a strange one. So there was some drone footage in mid-September 2019 that captured a man walking at night without a flashlight near the search area, raising hopes, but follow-up searches found nothing, and it's unclear if this was related to Kyle or possibly another hiker. So, the most plausible theory is that Kyle had an accident such as falling from a cliff or getting injured, perhaps got lost in the rugged terrain with his body or evidence hidden in a hard-to-reach area. So I would say from my own experience hiking something similar in Hawaii, I think an accident is probably really likely. He either, and probably in that stretch between valleys, that's where the accident's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
He either fell, probably in one of the stretches where it's tough to, you've got like 10 inches of space to put your feet on.
Yeah.
And if it's wet and muddy and his focus,
one wrong slip,
his focus veered off, the trail for 2 seconds and he slipped on a, like a rock or something, a slick rock. We don't know what kind of footwear he had.
Yeah.
Because depending on the shoes he had, could have made it really slippery for him. And we don't know what kind of gear he might have been traveling really light. Cause this is one, Joe and I always talk about how, like, when we're hiking in alpine environments, you pack for in case you have to live out there for a few nights in like 20 degree, 8,000 foot, area.
Yeah.
But we're talking Hawaii where
yes.
it's the coldest it's going to get at night is like 70.
Yeah.
Like,
the worst would be like if you're a little wet, but even then it's still warm.
And in Kauai, like, we were literally eating fruit off of trees, like on our hike into the valley.
Food, temperature's great.
Like wild. I can't remember. I think there was dragon fruit growing and like wild, like Hawaiian oranges or something.
It's just a fake place.
We were just like picking. We joked that it was like the Garden of Eden. We were just picking stuff off of trees and eating it. And so, like, if you got lost and you had to spend a night out there, like you could
survive for quite a few nights with very little gear.
Yeah, like you would not die overnighting in this area. Like,
I totally agree with that.
So he might have, and he's hiked a lot in Hawaii. He might have been just traveling really light, which is why they didn't find any of his gear, because he didn't have any gear with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most plausible. Maybe he fell into the surf and his body.
That's kind of what I'm thinking is like either he's in some dense area, unfortunately, or if he got in the ocean, you could see from all those images is rough seas.
Maybe a current sadly took the remains to an area that
I would just be out in the ocean. Yeah. Just open ocean. So I'm with you on that one. I think it was an accident.
I am a little puzzled because they hadn't closed access down yet to this area. And it's Labor Day weekend. How did no one else see him?
I'm sure not a lot of people do that hike.
But
the Z Trail.
But
they probably all go down in the first valley and they're like, all right, tourists back up.
So yeah, because
that seemed really difficult.
But I mean, okay, say like 200 hikers a day go into the valley and 20 do the Z Trail. I mean, you think someone might see him.
Yeah. It's thick enough if they're spread out enough.
I mean, the valley we went into was only accessible by the trail we took or boat, and we saw quite a few people on the trail, and it was a gnarly hike, like not something your grandpa's going to do.
But you only saw people coming back past you?
We had some people, we could see some people pretty far behind us and a couple ahead of us, and then,
So was it that thick, though? Because, like, that's what I'm saying.
It was in stretches.
Okay.
But then there was stretches where we're, like, up on the cliff, like, out over the ocean.
I think it was an accident.
I think it was an accident too.
I don't know.
No. So, yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know.
Yes. But, yeah, I think that's it. I'm with you. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm just being difficult.
I know. Sometimes you're just difficult.
No. But thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate you all for listening and sharing Locations Unknown with your friends and family. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Where we still have a page. I haven't updated it in forever, but it'd be funny if we got a huge LinkedIn following.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
That'd be
probably still won't update it.
Yeah, I don't, probably not.
LinkedIn is such a weird place.
It still is. Also, if you would like to support the show monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some cool swag. Additionally, you can subscribe to our Patreon account on YouTube and on Apple, where you have special access to events and additional shows for paid customers only. Lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.